the superpower that almost killed me, and why softness saved my life. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Recently, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Rakena Jones, a woman whose work is quietly reshaping how we understand healing, spirituality, and survival for Black women who've endured domestic abuse. Rakena isn't just an advocate, she's a bridge, a voice, a light for women who've spent years believing they had to carry the weight of the world alone. Her work is making the world a better place by holding space for survivors, by amplifying their voices, by reminding them that they are worthy of love, safety, and peace. And today I want to share with you the insights from that conversation because they're not just hers, they're ours. Let me start with something uncomfortable. There's a woman named Iris. For 11 years, she endured domestic abuse. 11 years. That's longer than some marriages that end amicably. That's longer than most people stay at a job they love. That's 4 presidential terms. That's the entire childhood of a kid who starts kindergarten and graduates middle school. And when Iris finally left, when she finally gathered the courage to walk away, she thought the hardest part was over. But here's the thing no one tells you about leaving: the abuse doesn't just live in the relationship, it lives in your body. It lives in your mind. It lives in the mirror you avoid because you don't recognize the person staring back. It lives in the way you flinch when someone raises their voice, even in laughter. It lives in the way you apologize for things that aren't your fault, the way you shrink yourself in rooms where you should be taking up space. Iris struggled with guilt. She struggled with self doubt. She struggled with her weight, not because she was vain, but because somewhere deep down she believed that if she made herself smaller, quieter, less visible, maybe she'd be safer. Maybe she wouldn't attract harm again. Her body became armor, and for a long time she hated it for that. She hated the reflection. She hated the softness that felt like vulnerability. She hated the idea that she had survived but didn't feel like she was living. But then something shifted. Iris began to see her body not as a failure, but as a survivor. She started therapy. She found community. She leaned into spirituality, not as a crutch, but as a compass. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, she began to heal. Not just emotionally, but holistically, mind, body, spirit. She learned to love herself again. And then she did something extraordinary. She turned her pain into purpose. She shared her story with Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence. And in doing so, she gave other women permission to do the same. Now, here's what Rakena Jones emphasized in our conversation, and what Iris's story so powerfully illustrates. Spirituality isn't just a nice to have for survivors of domestic abuse. For many Black women, it's the lifeline. It's the thing that whispers, you are still worthy, when the world and sometimes the abuser has told you otherwise. It's the quiet voice that says, this is not the end of your story. And let's be honest, when you've spent years in survival mode, when you've been told you're too much or not enough, when you've been gaslit into questioning your own reality, spirituality becomes the one place where you can still hear your own truth. It's not about religion necessarily, though for many it is. It's about connection to something bigger, to yourself, to hope, to the part of you that refuses to die even when everything around you is trying to kill it. Rakina shared that many survivors, especially Black women, find that their spiritual connection provides hope, courage, and a sense of purpose in the aftermath of trauma. It helps them reclaim their lives and their sense of self worth. And I want to pause there for a second. Self worth, not self esteem, not confidence. self worth, the deep, unshakable knowing that you deserve safety, love, and peace, not because you've earned it, but because you exist. But here's the hard part: recognizing abuse, reaching out for support, believing that what's happening to you is not your fault, because abuse is sneaky. It doesn't always look like bruises. Sometimes it looks like control. Sometimes it sounds like no one else will ever love you. Sometimes it feels like walking on eggshells in your own home. Sometimes it's the way he monitors your phone, questions your friendships, makes you doubt your own memory. Sometimes it's financial, emotional, psychological. Sometimes it's so subtle that you don't even realize you're suffocating until you can't breathe anymore. And the guilt, oh, the guilt. It's suffocating. Survivors often blame themselves. They think, if I had just been quieter, kinder, better, maybe this wouldn't have happened. They think, if I had just loved him harder, maybe he wouldn't have hurt me. They think, maybe I'm the problem. Let me say this clearly: abuse is never your fault. Never. Not when you stayed, not when you went back, not when you didn't fight back, not when you didn't leave sooner, not when you loved too hard, not when you hoped too much. Never. Rakena emphasized that acknowledging the truth and seeking help from trusted friends, family, or professional resources is a vital first step towards safety and recovery. And I know that's easier said than done. Because what if they don't believe you? What if they judge you? What if they ask why you stayed? What if they say, I never liked him anyway, as if that helps? What if they make it about them, about their discomfort with your pain? But here's the thing: your safety is more important than their comfort. Your healing is more important than their opinion. Your life is more important than their judgment. At the Beacon of Hope Crisis Center in Indianapolis, they've seen this over and over. Black women survivors walking through the doors, carrying the weight of isolation, guilt, self blame, financial instability, and the fear that there's no safe space for them. Many of these women have been told, explicitly or implicitly, that they need to be strong, that they need to keep it together, that they need to protect the family name, the church reputation, the community image. Many of them have been told that their pain is secondary to everyone else's comfort. And what the center does is simple but revolutionary. They provide confidential crisis support. They offer trauma focused therapy. They create space for spirituality, prayer, meditation, whatever the survivor needs. They help women reconnect with community and regain control over their lives. They don't ask why you stayed, they ask how they can help you leave, how they can help you heal, how they can help you reclaim your life. And the outcomes: women rebuild their sense of self worth, they establish financial independence, they develop coping skills, they become advocates and mentors for others. They turn their survival into something sacred. They take the most painful chapters of their lives and they rewrite the ending. But let's talk about the journey. Because healing from abuse is not a straight line, it's not a checklist, it's not something you can hustle your way through. And trust me, I know we love a good hustle. But this requires softness. This requires patience. This requires you to give yourself permission to heal at your own pace. This requires you to stop apologizing for not being over it yet. Rakena made it clear that self care, community, and forgiveness are essential parts of rebuilding. And when she said forgiveness, she didn't mean forgiving the abuser, though some survivors choose that path. She meant forgiving yourself for staying, for not knowing, for the ways you had to survive, for the parts of you that feel broken, for the moments you weren't who you wanted to be because you were just trying to stay alive. Because here's the truth: you are not broken, you are healing. And those emotional and physical scars, they're not marks of failure, They're marks of endurance. They're proof that you survived. They're proof that you're still here. They're proof that you are stronger than the thing that tried to destroy you. There's another layer to this that we can't ignore: the unique challenges faced by Black women, the cultural stigma, the systemic barriers, the expectation that we'll just be strong, that we'll just handle it, that we'll just keep going. The superwoman cape that we've been handed since birth, the one that says, you don't get to rest, you don't get to break, you don't get to be soft. But what if softness is the most radical thing we can do? What if saying, I need help, is the bravest sentence we can speak? What if letting go of the cape is not weakness, but wisdom? What if the most powerful thing you can do is admit that you can't do it all, that you weren't meant to do it all, that you deserve support, rest, and care just like everyone else? There are stories, so many stories, of Black women who healed from domestic abuse by embracing spirituality, therapy, and supportive networks. These women struggled with anger, PTSD, and the challenge of redefining their identity after abuse. They often didn't have adequate social support. They were told to pray harder, to be more patient, to submit more. They were told that their pain was a test, that their suffering was a lesson, that their abuse was somehow part of a divine plan. But they found healing through trauma informed care, support groups, and spiritual practices that helped them release anger and reclaim their lives. They found healing by refusing to accept the narrative that their pain had to have a purpose. They found healing by saying, I deserve better. I deserve peace. I deserve safety. I deserve love that doesn't hurt. And here's what they reported: increased emotional resilience, regained self respect, the ability to build healthy relationships. They became role models in their communities. They advocated for awareness and prevention. They turned their pain into purpose. They became the women they needed when they were younger. Many of these women cited the importance of spiritual belief in God as a source of hope and motivation to leave abusive relationships. And I want to honor that, because faith, for so many of us, is not just a Sunday thing, it's a survival thing. It's a God, if you get me through this, I promise I'll do something with it thing. It's the whispered prayer in the bathroom when you're trying not to cry. It's the scripture you cling to when everything else feels like it's falling apart. It's the belief that even when you can't see the way out, there is one. So, what do we do with all of this? How do we take Rakena Jones's insights, Iris's story, the work of the Beacon of Hope Crisis Center, and the testimonies of countless survivors, and turn them into action? Here's what I need you to hear. If you are in an abusive relationship right now, if you are reading this and something in your chest just tightened, if you are wondering whether what you're experiencing counts as abuse, listen to me. It counts. Your pain counts, your fear counts, your exhaustion counts. You count. Reach out for help today, not tomorrow, not when things get worse, not when you have a plan. Today, connect with a trusted friend, a spiritual leader, or call a confidential support line. Text someone, send an email, do something, anything that moves you one step closer to safety. And if you're the friend, the sister, the coworker, the one who suspects something is wrong, believe her. Don't ask why she stayed. Ask how you can help. Offer resources, offer presence, offer grace. Don't make her prove it to you. Don't make her justify her fear. Just believe her. Just be there. Because here's what I want you to feel right now: I want you to feel that healing is possible, that you are not alone, that your spiritual strength and your community can guide you through even the darkest times. I want you to know that softness is not weakness, that rest is not laziness, that choosing yourself is not selfish, that your soft girl era is not about giving up. It's about finally coming home to yourself. I want you to know that the world needs you whole, not strong, not perfect, not fixed. whole. And whole means honoring your wounds. Whole means asking for help. Whole means saying no. Whole means resting. Whole means being soft, tender, vulnerable, and still worthy of every good thing. So here's my challenge to you: stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting until you're less tired, less scared, less broken. Start now. Start messy. Start afraid. Start imperfect, but start. If you're a survivor, your next step is reaching out. If you're a supporter, your next step is showing up. If you're a bystander, your next step is speaking up. Because the world doesn't need more superheroes, it needs more women who are brave enough to be human, who are brave enough to say, I'm not okay and I need help, who are brave enough to choose softness in a world that demands hardness, who are brave enough to rest in a culture that glorifies exhaustion. Your soft girl era is waiting. And it's not about giving up, it's about finally giving yourself what you've been giving everyone else: grace, compassion, love, rest, peace. So take off the cape, put down the weight, step into your softness, and know that you are worthy not because of what you survived, but because you exist. And that, my love, is enough.